I was thinking about how there's all of these youngsters on social media right now that lots of people glorify, and I know that maybe this is not necessarily any different than what it was, 20 years ago or 30 years ago, but we need to yeah, it's a strange phenomenon because a lot of people are sort of glorifying these youngsters, and yet we have this sort of massive population of people over the age of basically over the age of 30, um, even the age of 25, that are extremely talented, and yet they're not appearing on social media. They're not necessarily making a big sort of push in those areas. There's some people that are in that, but I think, and I don't think it's culturally. I think that there is definitely a bias towards young people, that, especially in the limelight, right? And especially in sort of popular culture. I mean, I need to remember that is not necessarily. There's sort of two things to listen to that or think about. A, that's not a reflection of reality. We should start thinking about, all these folks that are over 60, for example. There's a lot that they can say, but they're not saying it. And then, the second thing is that somebody that's 25 years old, or let's even go younger. Somebody that is like 17 years old, uh, they don't necessarily have the life experience as somebody that is 75 years old. And I think it's a bit of a pity that we're missing out on this conversation from people that are quite a bit older, and they're not telling these stories. Um, People think that they're out of touch and all that kind of stuff, but you know what? Maybe it's just that they've like learned a little bit, and they've learned to chill out because that's the only way you get through it all. And they're not necessarily burnt out, or they're out of touch, or any of those kind of things. They're just chill, and they have great stories to tell because they've seen it all. They've been through a lot. So remember that when you are, consuming, especially social media. There's a tremendous bias against older folks, and I'm not saying that. Well, yeah, I'm saying that we can correct that, um, in the sense that older folks need to get practice of speaking openly and get practice using social media. I think that that's sort of a new wave that people can do, that they're not telling their story, right? So older folks are big time consumers of social media, right? Like the biggest people that are on Facebook, and especially Facebook, it's definitely grandparents that are consuming a huge amount of time. But there's not a lot of people that are actually telling their story and being open, and being okay with that. Um, there's maybe cultural, generational components of why that is, but they need to start, getting off their butt, and start telling their story and start being open about it. We want to hear it. Like, it's important to share those stories. It's not, and that's the thing. Like, this is the thing that I think about. A lot of people are really afraid to speak openly and be in, and it is like, hey, it is so hard to do this, to be just open, and trying to disregard other people. It's very hard, and I get caught up in it. But there's so many stories, there's so many people that I wish I would have heard, and I wish I would have had their voice that I can listen to on a regular basis. Like I never knew my grandparents on my one side, on my dad's side. I never knew any of them. Like maybe they were around. I think they were around until my grandpa was probably around until I was, 5 years old. So I think I have a vague memory, but not really, right? And it'd be really cool just to have that available, um, to have somebody actually telling stories, or I can turn to them. And, you know, if it's not just for, you don't have to become a social media star or whatever, all of this kind of, an influencer, but think of it as like you're telling the stories of your life, so that somebody else, hopefully it's somebody, a future relative, maybe it's a great, 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 great grandparent or grandson that you're long gone, is going to hear this. Like, that's pretty cool. That I think about that a lot. Is I think it would be really cool if I've got, you know, that's the thing with the internet, is that it's permanent, right? Like it's not going to disappear anytime soon, um, and it's pretty permanent to have all of this information that's available. And so what's cool is that somebody can listen to this, and somebody being like my long lost, 200 years from now, 300 years from now, some long lost relative is going to listen to this and say, hey, yeah, he makes a lot of sense. That's cool. Or, you know, in terms of how quickly language changes, be like, what the heck is he saying? I can't understand the thing that he's saying. Um, that's cool, right? Like, I don't know. I think it's just a quirky, cool thing for people to get practice doing. And it's a beautiful gift to tell these stories and to document them, to, as Gary Vee sort of talks about, is like documenting all of this kind of stuff, but it's really just, telling your story. And golly, anybody that is over the age of 75, they have a lot of stories to tell, and we want to hear them. So tell your story, be brave enough to be able to do it. I know it's hard to do, and just keep going with it. It's very good. It's very cool. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.